Hi everyone, it's Johnny from Woodworking with 5 Tools. Today I'm gonna make a short video and explain you guys how to use a router. Of course I can't explain everything, but I will give you like a short impact how a router works. Recently we did a project which you can see over here where we had to router out a big hole for an LED power supply. I recognized in this project that using a router for a beginner is not so easy because there are some things that couldn't go wrong. And to help you a little bit if you're a beginner and if you're completely new to a router, I hopefully can explain you a little bit about how a router works. Of course, there are different versions of a router. This is only for rounding off your edges, and we don't need this one in our build today. But this is a router which you can use for any purpose in your workshop, and I love this machine. It's my favorite machine in this workshop, and all the do-it-yourself projects that we have done till now, they have a router in it. So maybe you should get yourself a router, and it doesn't have to be an expensive one, it can be cheaper. How does a router works? I always compare a router with a car that is drifting. So funny, sounds funny, but in the end it's literally the same. The wheels of the car are moving so fast that, for example, in a burnout, the car is only moving pretty slow because the grip is not there between the wheels and the street. So this is why the wheels are turning much faster than the car is going forward. So there's always the possibility with a burnout that of course your car is moving slowly forward, but then as it goes a little bit faster, there is the point where the wheels get so much grip on the street that your car can jump forward. And there are funny videos on the internet where cars are even get crashed because of this situation. Of course, this can happen with a router. We have a chance in woodworking every time, I will show you in a minute in the other room, that we in woodworking can push our car or our router or our saw, whatever, backwards. That means we can avoid the problem of the car getting too much grip and jumping forward. We can avoid it by pushing the router in the right direction. And you have to keep in mind that it's the right direction. If it's the wrong direction and you're moving too fast, the router can jump away. So you have to care about the direction. So we are pushing our router backwards. And literally with every machine that is turning, with a saw or something like this, it's the way. So most of these machines are naturally installed that when you're pushing your wood against the saw, that of course you're pushing your car backwards. And that this problem of jumping forward can not happen at all. And I'm going to show you this now in the other room. So, for example, with the table saw, the blade of the saw is turning in this direction. That means what we can do, or what we're naturally doing, we're pushing our wood against the direction of the saw blade. If we would pull the wood, there's the possibility that this saw blade gets too much grip on the wood, and if we're going too fast, then it's getting so much grip that it jumps away. So this is pretty dangerous. This saw is installed that we're only pushing the wood in this direction. Next example, you can come with me. Miter saw. The blade of the miter saw is turning in this direction. That means it always pulls this wood against this fence. And with our router, it's a little bit more difficult, and I try to explain it to you. Hopefully you can understand. So with the table saw, of course, naturally you're just pushing the wood against the direction of the saw blade, which is great because nothing can happen because you're moving your car backwards against the direction of the burnout. So with the router, we can't push or pull the wood. We can only push or pull the router itself. And so we have to keep in mind that we always use our router like we would push the car in a burnout backwards. And Now it's getting a little bit difficult because our router bit, as you can see here, is turning in a specific way. It's always clockwise. With all the routers in Europe, I guess, and also in the States, it's clockwise. For example, we do it here. I'm turning this router in this direction. And you can see here, there are the cutting edges. And if you would do it in this direction, you would take the material away and you would pull the car backwards, because the arrows of your router bit are going against the direction that you're pushing your router. Perfect. If you would do it in the other way, you can see that the arrows are moving in the same direction that you're pushing your router. And this, of course, is dangerous, because when your router bit gets too much grip, it can jump away. So this is what we have to avoid. So now it's getting a little bit difficult, because I think most of you think, all right, I have an example. In here, I can do it clockwise, which is true, because you can see you're moving your router against the direction of your router bit. This is perfect. But now comes the big part. When you're doing it here, you're not on this side anymore, but on the other side. And that means when you would move your router in this direction, you would the arrows, as you can see, are moving in the same direction like you're turning your router. And this is dangerous, because of course it can jump away. In theory, you can keep in mind, if you want to take some material away on the outside, you have to move your router clockwise. And if you want to take material away on the inside, you have to do it the other way around. So this is difficult. Of course, it's difficult even when you're in the middle of like routering out a hole, and you always have to keep in mind, okay, am I doing it the right direction, the wrong direction? So what I would tell you, and what I'm doing in my woodworking day-to-day life, I'm getting the response of the router itself. I, to be honest, sometimes forget, am I doing or am I pushing the router in the right or wrong direction in the middle of a build. What I'm doing, I'm moving my router, and as soon as I get the response from the router, like the drifting car, when I get the response, one moment, my car is actually going forward and it's getting a little bit more grip, and there's the possibility that it jumps away, I recognize, okay, maybe I'm doing it in the wrong direction. From that point, I recognize, okay, because the router pulls away a little bit, this is the wrong direction. And I'm going the other direction, which is backwards, and nothing can happen. So this is my advice for you, to like get the response of your router, and always keep in mind that your router, as soon as it pulls away a little bit from you, then maybe you're in the wrong direction. Yeah, I mean, this is not all explained. There's a lot more about routers. I mean, you can buy books online about routers. I even read one of these, not all of it, but most of it. And they're great because it's a great tool. But I hope that this small instruction help you as a beginner, because when you're getting better with a router and later on, you will get to know these responses. So this is also why I'm like making this video, because when you're new to woodworking, of course, this turning it clockwise or the other way around is important, because you know how to deal with these responses that you will get from the router. So later on, you will get a feeling. And for me, using a router in a template like this is like dancing. Really, it's like dancing. So you're getting so much response. You get to know, am I too fast, too slow, am I burning the wood? So this is, it's beautiful. It's pretty awesome to use a router in a build like this and get all these responses. And later on you will get used to it, and there will be no, I guess, big issues with it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've learned something today. I hope you've learned something about a router. So we will see you next time on the next build of Woodworking with 5 Tools. And as always, keep on woodworking. Bye bye.